Hello, my name is David Kreller. I'm an advisor with the Small Business Development Center at Wichita State University. Today, our topic is getting your information ready for your accountant at the end of the year. Specifically, I want to talk about PBC list, or provided by client list, or prepared by client list, sometimes referred to as IRLs, or information request list. These are detailed reports or lists provided oftentimes by an accounting firm or your accountant, requesting information in the preparation of your tax return, or if they're doing audited financial statements, the various information they need. Why this information is important is it's a mechanism for the accounting firm to gather the details they need to conduct their work on a timely basis. If they were to come on site together at one by one, it would be simply cost prohibitive. If you're using, or if you're provided a PBC list by your accountant, a couple of things to remember. Number one, timely data. Make sure the information you're giving them is for the correct year, the correct period that they are doing the audit work or the tax return work for, the correct year, the correct period. Number two, make sure it's usable and organized. If the accounting firm gives you a particular format to follow, in terms of putting reports and schedules together, it's advised to do that. Likewise, if you're gathering information in general to put together, whether it's electronic or in hard copy form, put it in the right sequence that the accounting firm has requested. This will make it much more effective and efficient for them. You want to get the information or return it to your tax preparer as promptly as possible. The longer you wait and delay, the longer you're going to wait and delay to get your information back. There's always the debate of whether it should be provided in hard copy or digital form. I think that it's probably best to ask your accountant what's preferred to them. Now, that being said, there are certain things, even if you're going digital, that are just too large or too unwieldy to try to scan and submit that way. Again, have that conversation with them, come up with a good workable solution for what is going to be best for their circumstances. Likewise, if it is in digital form, and oftentimes that is today, any passwords that the accountant will need to access, whether it's your accounting files, encrypted files, anything of that nature, make sure that they have the proper passwords to access the information that they need to. Now, this is all good if you are provided a PBC list or provided by client list from your accounting firm, but what if you're not? And a good way to start this conversation is talk to your accountant about that. Are there certain things that they would like to have to make this as helpful and streamlined? That request will go oftentimes a long way in success in getting a good tax return or a good audit prepared. In general, if they do not provide it, things that would commonly be asked for, and this is not a comprehensive list, to understand every circumstance is a little different, but generally speaking, financial reports, the accounting records of the business. And that's going to start with a balance sheet and an income statement for the period in which the tax return or the audit concludes, arguably the end of the year. Then it's a matter of working through the balance sheet for the different categories of accounts and specific things that they may request. So thinking of a balance sheet, we start with our cash accounts. So they may want your end of year bank statement accounts and reconciliations, as well as any investment accounts that you may have and or reconciliations that accompany that as well. Accounts receivable reports at the end of the year, including an aging report. And an accounts receivable aging report is helpful for them, that if you have some dated or long-standing accounts receivable items out there, they may want to talk about the likelihood of collection on those as well. If you have any prepaid assets, include a schedule of those, a listing of what those are. And those might include things such as prepaid insurance, maintenance contracts that you've paid for in advance for an extended period of time, dues, membership dues for the year, those sorts of things. If you have a reconciliation tying those numbers back so that they can validate or show what that correct balance is on your books, that would be helpful. Additionally, going through the balance sheet would be any fixed asset items. So a full fixed asset schedule for your business. Especially note any additions or dispositions of assets during the year, anything that you acquired or got rid of during the year. This should be supported by invoices or receipts reflecting those assets or dispositions. That could be invoices, bill of sales, any sort of documentation that will support that. Depreciation schedules, also, if you are depreciating and calculating your own depreciation internally. If not, your accounting firm probably does that for you, but if you do have depreciation schedules, provide that to them as well. On the liability side of the balance sheet, complete detail of any accounts payable items outstanding at the end of the year, assuming there are any. If you're handling your own 1099 reporting at the end of the year, you'll want to have that conversation with your accounting firm. They may want information on those 1099s, or they may simply want the 1096 transmittal form that goes with it. As a side note, as part of our recorded podcast, if you will, we do have one on 1099 reporting that can be found on the Wichita State University Small Business Development Center website, YouTube website as well. Things regarding payroll liabilities, they may want to have information on, including a full schedule of outstanding payroll liabilities at the end of the year. 941 certainly for the end of the year, as well as your state tax payroll, state tax payroll return for the end of the year. They may also want them for each of the different 4 quarters, something you may want to ask them about. Should you have received any correspondence from the IRS, including notices, penalties, or anything you may have contacted them on, please provide that information to your accountant as well up front. If you have any new debt during the year, such as new loans that you've taken out or paid off or refinanced or loan modification agreements, make sure your accountant knows about that. And if they're supporting documents like new promissory notes, be sure to provide copies of those as well, as that will be very helpful for them as well. For not having a PBC list, this is a good list to start with. Again, there may be things your accountant wants to add or things they may not need. Again, talk to them about it. There's a couple of other things to be considered, though, or may want to be considered in this mix as well. Other things that may be situation specific would be if you have a budget for the subsequent year to the tax return for the next year. If you have a budget prepared, your accounting firm may want to see that as well. And that's helpful in perhaps calculating quarterly estimated payments and whatnot for the IRS. Any legal matters that you have, both from the reporting year as well as the next year, the subsequent year, litigation that you've either initiated or that you're a defendant on, any pending litigation or those that you anticipate may occur in the next year, let them know as well. If you have major changes in your operations, whether it's expansion, retraction, adding equipment, selling equipment, adding staff, laying off staff, change of jurisdiction, anything regarding your operation that's major or significant and major, let your accountant know. Should you have entered in new leases or other agreements, whether they be for real estate or capital leases for equipment or vehicles, accountant will want to know about that and probably want documentation as well. Tax receipts, both for real estate and personal property, would be very typical that they would want to have obtain copies of those different tax receipts. Your annual filing with the Kansas Secretary of State's office, and I say annual filing, it's now every other year, but if it's your year, either verification that you've done it, let them know that you plan to do it, or if you need your accountant to take care of it for you, be sure to communicate that as well. And the events of life insurance and retirement plans, a couple of different things here. One of which would be is if you do have company paid life insurance, make sure the accountant knows about that. It is possible that you may have received a IRS Form 8925 from the IRS regarding those company paid life insurance policies. If you did receive that form, please be sure to provide that to your accounting firm as well. They may want other information on top of that. Any retirement plan information that you have, whether it's new, changes, modifications, anything to your company retirement plans, share that information. Amounts paid during the year could also include accrued liability for contributions to retirement plans, such as profit sharing contributions, bonus contributions. Be sure to schedule that and provide that information to your accountant as well. There may be a breakout necessary if you do work outside of the jurisdiction, meaning if you do work in Kansas as well as other states, it's very likely your accountant may want to know information about what dollars or what percentage of your revenue and expense was the result of Kansas activity versus other states, as it may prompt some other tax filing requirements because of that out-of-state work. Miscellaneous income and miscellaneous expense are well known to be dumping grounds by small business owners, a place to park expenses or revenue, and for lack of better knowledge, where to go with that. A detailed schedule of miscellaneous expense and miscellaneous income can be helpful in the preparation of that tax return as well. There's been changes in the reporting for meals, food, and entertainment in recent years. Pre-COVID, it was pretty restrictive. During the COVID years, things relaxed a little bit under the tax code, and they're now tightening up a little bit again. Good communication with your accountant about what did you truly have for accounting, or excuse me, for entertainment and meals expense, whether it's for clients, employees, or all the above, and a breakout to allocate that. And they may want more information on that as well. Understand this is just a light overview of these things that they may want to have. If your client, excuse me, if your accountant does have a PBC list or an IRL list, use it. Ask questions. Good communication is key in all of this for a good outcome. Please contact us if you do have other questions or any questions we can assist with. We can be reached by phone at area code 316-978-3193 or our website, which is wichita.edu/KSBDC. Thank you for your time today.